Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, we wear our Heelys to escape our feelies. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play long games together and discuss them in the moment. I am Sam Allman.
I am your best friend, Michael Rodriguez.
I am Makoto and Ryoji OTP, Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I am your second best friend, Michael Webben, a.k.a. @Spiffle, a.k.a. #1 Junpei Stan.
I'm calling third best friend then.
Yeah.
If
Sorry,
the other
Sam.
two are...
We're
Yeah.
all best friends.
No, Sam isn't any of them because we're all his best friends.
Oh,
yeah,
that
that's
makes sense.
true.
He's the one who is doing the best friend.
Yeah, okay. I got it. I feel it.
So today, go ahead, Eli.
I was going to say I'm the fucking Undertale trash social link.
So today is our final episode on Persona 3. We won't ever talk about it ever again, except for we will. And
It'll come up.
oh, it definitely will. But so we're going to basically do March because you take February off in the game and the epilogue happens in March. But before we do that, we're going to back up and talk a little bit more about the ending because there was so much going on there and we were kind of out of time and didn't get to like hang out that much. So we're going to go to the hardest boss in the game for no good reason and talk about the Nyx Avatar fight.
I don't know.
So
Like, how do you unpack this fight?
Well, honestly, if y'all don't mind, I feel like I love the fight and have a really interesting story, so I feel like I could probably just explain the fight beginning to end in like 5 minutes, and also y'all get a fun story out of it.
go for it.
Okay, so I loved this fight. First of all, it was an absolute nightmare. It was fucking horrendous.
I love
and
this
I hated
fight.
it.
It was the worst thing I've
and
ever
it
been
was
through. It was
fantastic.
great.
Shin Megami Tensei style.
Yeah, that's like S&T hours, right? Like, this was fucking awful, grueling slog, and I hated it. It rules. So one of the issues I've had with the game is that I feel like, and to be fair, almost every JRPG has this issue, but this game has good enough game design that I actually care instead of not caring. I feel like the game has a problem where it doesn't escalate very well. Basically, the difficulty curve is backwards, like most JRPGs. And one of the issues is the idea of attrition, because the first time you ever go into Tartarus and you try to go through 7 floors at once without taking a break, it's pretty tough. And then the next time you go to Tartarus, the next block, it's like 15 floors, and you're like, whoa.
Mm-hmm.
But then it stops there. It just, the sections do not get longer after that. They cap at about 15, then they go back down to around 10 or so. But
And
the
then
problem is
the final one is like 5 for the final block.
yeah, and the problem is that you keep getting to stay in Tartarus longer and longer and longer because the higher level you are, the longer you can go without getting tired, and your MP essentially becomes trivial because it became pretty trivial for me to get from one checkpoint to the next without running out of MP. Or if you do, you go back down, your MP's restored, you go back to the checkpoint, but you don't have to play it all again because then you can just skip all the bad guys because you're like, I already fought you guys. I'm not going to do it all the way this time.
Right. That was typically how I did it.
Yeah, so the point is, like, I don't know, like, I know people complain, like, oh, I lost 2 hours of progress, but, like, what's the point of having specified checkpoints and limiting things like MP if you don't have to go for, like, 20 straight floors? Yeah, so the long story short, I was just saying, because of the game's issue with it not really dealing with attrition very much, and the bosses all just being one-offs with no, like, leading dungeon or anything like that, this is a 100 stinking hour game, and they've been building up this boss for a long time, so they're really going to have to bring it. So that's why it's like, no amount of it being a horrendous nightmare is going to be too much because it's for dramatic reasons. They really got to bring it, and they did. So the way the fight works is, as we talked about last time, it's essentially at first I thought it was going to be a 22 phase boss fight.
Yeah.
And that's because it's shifting through arcanas, and there's 22 arcanas, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be the most phases.
That's terrible.
in any JRPG boss. Like, I thought that Dragon Quest IV was the most phases any JRPG boss had ever had, that probably has like I don't know how many. It probably has like 10 or 15. But 22, oh my god. But of course, obviously, once it gets to death,
He's
it
gonna
stops.
stop.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, no. So the fight essentially has two phases. There's the first 12 Arcana, and then there's the 13th Arcana. But once you get to death, it also itself is essentially divided into three phases. Because it does that thing where when he gets below a certain amount of health, he gets harder, right? Because that's realistic. I'm about to
Yeah,
die.
totally.
Now I'm harder to fight.
Well, it's like in an opera, when you're dying, you're way better at singing an aria.
Exactly. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I got
I've seen
stabbed.
La
Time to
Boheme.
sing for 10 straight minutes.
Yeah, I'm dying of tuberculosis, so
boy.
now I'm gonna sing soprano at the top of my lungs.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's pretty much how it is. It's basically La Boheme, the video game.
Yeah,
So I'll skip past the first phase because the first 12 phases because they're mostly trivial. But then you get to the 13th phase, and the first part is pretty simple. As Sam mentioned, he has 6 times the health of a usual phase. No, 3 times the health, but also takes half.
He has 4
6,000
times that.
instead of
4, yes,
2,000, right?
It's 6,000 instead of 1,500. So he has
okay.
4 times and takes half damage. So he is
Yeah.
8 times harder
8
than all
times.
of us.
Although honestly, it felt like way more than that.
It
because
really does.
A lot of the previous phases, I was killing in like one round, if I got lucky. Whereas this guy, I hit him. I do a hit at the beginning, and I'm like, oh my god. That did not move his health meter very much. So you start fighting, and the first part of the fight is he's got a few moves. The main thing he does is he knows every elemental spell and will do all of them. And my team was Aegis, Ken, and Yukari. I took them in just because they were my highest level. My team wasn't that differing in levels because I basically every time I went to Tartarus, I would take the lowest level people I had. So I would like hopscotch.
That would have been smart. My Ken was level 26 at the end of the game.
Yeah, so they were all pretty similar. So I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna try to beat it I'm not gonna do any extra grinding. I'm just gonna try to beat it. I'm gonna take in my highest guys and see how it goes. And so I go in, and the Persona uses this final battle. You know, a final battle is good when it makes you think about aspects of the game's mechanics that you had never even had to think about until that point in the game. And the number one thing that this battle makes you have to think about is turn order. Oh my gosh. Turn order is such a huge thing in this game. So the way Persona's turn order works is it's basically D&D rules where at the beginning of the battle you have a turn order that is selected partially through stats and partially through randomness, like your initiative. But after that point it never changes. Sometimes it can. Like if someone dies and gets revived, that'll affect their turn order. But
that'll put them at the very end.
But I thought that was the case. But this battle explicitly proved me that to be not the case. So I don't really know how it works. Exactly. But the point is,
that's what I thought. So I tried one time when Aegis died to not heal her right away to try and like game that, and still she was off from. Like, if you're counting a round from when Nyx fights to Nyx fights, she was on a different round than everybody.
Oh, that's weird.
So, like, I would like, go to do my, to skip forward towards the end when he would do his moonlight facade thing or whatever, I would be like, okay, well, everybody move over to not fight, but Aegis was still on the previous round after that.
Moonless,
so she
moonless gown.
Moonless gown, that's it.
Yep.
And so she was still on the previous one, so I couldn't tell her, don't hit him, he'll kill you, until she died.
Yep.
And so she died every single time after.
Yeah, so that was a big thing for me. So if you notice, 2 of my party members are both weak against lightning, so it just loved to do the lightning all spell.
Which thankfully doesn't give him an extra turn. Like every time he would use a Ma spell, I'm like, thank God, I can survive.
And the reason is because it hits people who aren't weak against it. A Ma spell, unless everyone's weak against it, it doesn't give you the plus 1 turn, and that happens on your own party as well. So anyway, so my turn order was Hero, who my hero's name is Stephen Mongas. Stephen Mong with an apostrophe before the S. Stephen Mongas. Then Nyx, and Nyx goes twice, and then the rest of them. And that order did sometimes shuffle around a little bit because of, like I said before, it's not always set in stone. But whether you're before or after Nyx never changed, regardless of if someone died or whatever.
Yeah.
So for the first part, it's easy. It's not easy, but it's simple. He's hitting you hard. You're trying to keep all your buffs. He can dispel your buffs if he wants. He hits you with Mazionga twice in a row, which means the first time it makes the barrier I put up go away, and the second time it knocks Aegis and Kin down, which sucks. But then the third way through the fight, he gets this move called like Xenosaga Moonlight Serenade or whatever. And basically it's a move where he puts up a huge shield where anything that you do to hit him will come back at you and kick the shit out of you. And
it's
luckily
rage,
it is a pattern. It's always for the exact same amount of time. He puts it up on one turn, it stays up on the next turn, and it goes down on the third turn. The problem is on that after he puts it down on the third turn, he can immediately put it back up on the fourth turn if he wants, which really sucks. And that's the only real issue I have with this fight, which is I feel like on one hand they were trying to go big or go home and make an amazing ending, and they did. On the other hand, they may have crammed a bit too many ideas into one fight. Yeah. Because his Moonlight whatever slows the battle down so much, but he also has a horseshit amount of health.
Right.
Yeah.
Those two ideas are both great in practice, but put those two ideas together and you've got a fight that might be a bit too sloggy.
They wanted to make you use everything that you learned from the rest of the game in that fight, but it was too much. It was too goddamn much.
I also don't think that they accomplished that very well. Like on a very slight meta level, they did it, but you can beat Nyx with grinding. Like I wiped the first time. But
you can say that criticism for any RPG.
But you can't say that criticism for the Hanged Man fight. The Hanged Man fight through mechanics, you had to be good at Persona to take him down because he would summon the ads and he was immune and you had to do all of that stuff. Like Hanged Man for me was a way better way to make you good at the game than Nyx was. Like Nyx
I disagree because I thought that was boring because I was over leveled.
But
against the Hanged Man.
But Nyx just when you boil it down, he was he wears out your consumables and then was an HP sponge at the end, and the being good at Persona that you had to do was not the weaknesses that you've had drilled into your head. Really wasn't buffs and debuffs. It was just using the Fuka menu when you're supposed to tell people to heal instead of fight during those turns. Like it has a lot going for it, but I don't feel it because Old Games Plus is playing through Okami right now, and Okami's mid-game boss, Orochi, requires you to use everything in a natural way. So it's he has vines up his back. I know I need to use this move to go and do this and do that. And it the design of the fight makes you have to flex all of your muscles. This one, what I literally did when I got to the Moonless Gown phase is everyone would be healing, it would go away, everyone would just all out attack, and then he would put it back up, and everyone would go back to healing, and then just do that back and forth, which isn't as
But
good.
See, you could have been doing something a little smarter. What you could have been doing is you could have been casting a power charge on yourself and then hitting him for an absurd amount of damage during the one turn when he actually doesn't have his shield up.
So I think that...
which is what I did.
I think that both of you guys have really good points, but I don't think that the fight... we're still forgetting that this is one fight, not necessarily a whole bunch of phases that we're looking at separate fights, right? And I think that the whole fight was meant to make you feel like you were barely inching along and barely squeezing along with it. And
right, because this thing is supposed to be indestructible.
Right, it's also it's supposed to be the incarnation of death. So I think that whereas it's more easily read, which is I think what Sam's issue with it is, it's a very easily read fight. You go through a whole bunch of arcana, he repeats it in a JRPG fashion, and then it doesn't take long to learn the mechanics after he does it once. And when he does what is it, Midnight Gown is
Moonless Gown.
Moonless Gown.
It's nonsense fucking phrase. It doesn't make any fucking sense.
Absolutely.
I'm the Shelf, the first boss from Final Fantasy VI.
I forgot. the moon is huge and it's right behind him, so calling it moonless is really stupid.
Right, like I forgot what that ability did because at that time I just took that time to defend, and I was like, okay, that's it. And I think that it wasn't meant to make you feel like it was some, this is the problem with kind of Persona 3 in that it heightens its drama, but the fight is still a very Shin Megami Tensei fight. It's like low-key meant to make you feel like it lasts forever and it's not nice. And that is the reason why it's like the Dark Souls of RPGs. That is the reason why you play like Shin Megami Tensei games.
That was the Dark Souls of Dark Souls references.
Yeah. It was a very meta. That's true. It's a super meta reference. Jesus Christ. And I think that this is what I liked about Persona. Like I liked the fact that some of these fights were like really understood easily because a lot of the themes came out and spoke, and because of that, I think that the overall sell of the fight did well. This fight, having done it the third time, it made me feel like, okay, I was only annoyed because I had to do it again. That was it.
Oh my god,
But really, from a thematic point of view, like I don't. Very rarely can you have fights that capitalize on theme and mechanic, and it marry each other very it marry each other very, very well. Much less when you have to go through 12 different arcana, right? Like WoW's raid bosses, it throws at you 6 to 7 mechanics at once at any given time if you're doing like high end raiding. Never really. It doesn't do it in such a way where it's like overwhelming you. But in this particular fight, I think that the developers were just like, you're playing a Shin Megami Tensei game, so let's give you a Shin Megami Tensei game. Welcome to a 14 phase boss fight. And also it's just going to be mechanically tough, right? Because if they wanted to make it actually hard on a mechanical sense, they could, right? But what they did was they gave him 4 times the health and then made him take reduced damage, so it was meant to be an endurance fight. It was meant to wear you out.
I love how they could have just multiplied his health by 8 and kept the damage the same, but instead they did 4 times health and half damage just because psychologically it makes you feel like shit to be doing so little.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's my point. Like they didn't assign him. They didn't assign him more damage. They just made this death boss harder to kill. And
the number's smaller.
And that to me, like when I see that, I can if that is the overall point of that fight, then I think that's I think it's a good design and successful fight because to me that's what sold, was that like it's supposed to make you feel like how you felt about death throughout the whole game, which was that this is going to be exactly. And so and I expect that off of Shin Megami Tensei games, and I think that when you are playing a game not as abstract as Persona, or I think that when you are playing a game like Persona where things are high drama and you see anime weeboo cutscenes and bullshit, like you expect that. You expect mechanics, but like I don't know, Mike, you played Nocturne, right? The fights are very similar to this in that they aren't like mechanically heavy, but they are about testing how long you can last in a battle without dying. It's like dodging fireballs of death. Rather than like doing a dance. So I think that you both are. I say that also say like I think that you both have really good points, but I genuinely think that it was intentional.
In conclusion, Nyx is a land of contrasts.
Yeah. So you didn't say your Igus story.
Yeah. So anyway, sorry, I gushed a little bit more than I was expecting about the fight because I liked it so much. So the third phase, you got past the whole Moonlight Shroud thing. I know that's not what it's called. And then he introduces his third. It's funny they say. So Nyx is a girl, but it's also that what's his name is a guy.
Ryoji.
So
Ryoji.
Yes, and I think they use masculine pronouns. Whatever. Point is,
because this fight is with Ryoji. He says in the thing beforehand
yeah. You're
that
right.
Nyx is behind him. He's just the avatar bringing on.
Good point. Okay, so he pulls out his final move, which is this horrendously nasty move where it basically just hits your whole party for a fuck ton of damage and randomly inflicts status effects. And if he hits that twice in the same turn, it won't kill you. It wouldn't kill any of my party members, but they would have to be at like very close to max health in order to survive it twice in a row. Unless I had all my buffs up. But the status ailments is what really gets you. So what happened was I'm getting close to the fight and he's hitting me. I've already had to revive my dudes a million times. Like I'm not owning, but I am getting a handle on it. I'm getting there. I feel like I'm going to win this battle. I'm on my feet. I can do this. Then he uses that move. And like I said, I go first, then he goes, then my other people go. So I can't react in the middle to what he does. He uses that move. He confuses Aegis, or charms Aegis. And
no, charm is so dangerous.
And it's like that
bad.
thing where you drop like a cake or a breakable object, and it's just happening in slow motion, and you can't even comprehend what's going on. He charms Aegis, and Aegis fucking casts Diarahan on him.
No.
And this game does not pull punches. This game doesn't break its pre-established rules. Diarahan
heals you to
fully
max.
restores the HP. It doesn't matter if it's you or if it's a boss. The rule is full restore of HP. And I saw that number 6,000 appear underneath the boss.
Did you quit the game?
I did not. So then, I wanted to scream. And at this point, it's like 2:30 in the morning because I didn't think it was going to take this long. And
like that guy at the beginning of the first Persona movie.
yeah, but at this point, though, I stopped playing for a second. Not to turn the game off, but I put the controller down because first I want to scream at Bernard online. But also, I'm like, wait a second, though. This boss has multiple phases. There's two ways it could be programmed. One way it's programmed is that
HP gates.
Right. So one way that it's checked is that it checks how much HP it has every turn to decide what move it's going to do. In which case you would essentially roll back to phase one. But the other way that it could work is that once you pass to a second phase, it triggers a flag and you are now just in that phase. So I'm thinking, am I going to have to fight the entire boss with his phase 3 moves? Or am I back to phase 1? Because if it's phase 1, I can do it again. If it's phase 3, I'm going to turn the freaking game off. So I start playing, and it turns out he was back to phase 1.
Good.
Thank God.
But imagine if the other 13 phases were also HP gates. Imagine that you would have healed it and you would have gone all the way back to full.
Well, luckily attrition was not actually an issue for me because I had a ton of somas and stuff. I'm not a hoarder. I just didn't.
I never had
a chance to use them that much. I probably started the fight with 15 of them.
I was cheating.
I just didn't. I just never really felt like I needed to use them that much. So I had plenty. But I had plenty for fighting the battle once, not necessarily for fighting it twice. The good news is the second time through the battle went a lot better. So then second time through, I'm at the very end and. Literally, I get to the point where his health is not seeable. Like, the health bar is invisible. It is that low. He uses the freaking status move again, and he puts my main character in rage.
No.
Hell yeah. No, that's badass.
Now, on one hand, my main character has full health. But the thing is, rage makes you hit twice per turn and do extra damage, but it also makes you take way more damage. So I'm thinking this is it. It's do or die right now. Also, I can't I can't do anything because if your main character is enraged, you just don't get to make
you don't get to hit any
buttons. You don't even get to change your party's strategies, which is a really nasty thing about this game that I like. Anyway, so it gets to the main character, and I'm like, here it is. So he hits the bad guy, who's again health bar is already invisible. Hits him for 150 damage, and I'm like, fuck yes. He doesn't die. He goes and he hits him again. 150 damage. And I'm like, fuck yes! Somehow, he does not die. Now, somewhere along the line, Aegis had somehow gotten moved. Her turn had moved where she goes before Nyx. So Aegis also gets a hit. And luckily, she's in, full assault mode. She's just going to do a physical attack. And she goes to attack him. And I'm thinking, there's literally no fucking way he can survive this attack. How much health could he possibly have? And she hits him for, 80 or something. He doesn't die. He does the double moonlight attack and kills me from full health with rage.
Oh my God.
It's been like 3 hours. At this point, like if I hold my hand out, the whole last 20 minutes of the fight, I was just like violently vibrating the entire time from the anxiety. I was just like,
oh man, that would have
like,
felt great on your job.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
from excitement and from stress.
when you tell me this story, I'm like, sounds like a Shin Megami Tensei game.
Yeah. Anyway, I died. I went to bed. It was 4:30 a.m. The next morning, I tried him, and turns out third time's the charm. That next time, I didn't do any grinding. I just shuffled I shuffled my equipment up a little bit since I knew what he was going to do. But I didn't have anything to protect against charm or rage with my main character, so or at least not sufficiently, right? So I was like, I'm just gonna pump up my. Oh right. Turns out I had been hoarding cards the entire game.
Oh, nice.
So I put about 30 cards on Mara, which caused me to be able to do way more damage. And I was like, if I just hit him hard enough, he'll die before he gets to do this again to me.
Did it have to be Mara? Did it have to be that?
Mara is like the classic Shin Megami Tensei dick chariot. But also, no, Mara was by far the hero of that fight for me because I could do power charge and then hit the shit out of him. It was great. So anyway, that's my story of how that game's the game's commitment to sticking to its own systems and not being nice to you, even when what's the term game designers use nowadays? The emergent aspect of the gameplay resulted in me having to fight the entire boss 2 times.
It sounds like the Shin Megami Tensei series can be summed up as this is the fucking worst thing ever. I love it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, like I think that's like a pretty good way. It's like I said, like the Dark Souls of RPGs.
I forgot to mention one of the reasons that it was so much easier the second time around, second actual attempt, more like the third time, is that my turn order was way better. What happened was he would go at the end of each round.
Yeah.
Which was way easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, 30 minutes on this fight is probably good enough.
Yeah.
So, after that, we go up and we fight Nyx, and then the good music comes on and all of that jazz that we talked before. So then at the end of all of that, the moon turns back white and it fades to black. And we wake up 1 month later. And what I loved is it is the exact same, like, line for line as the bad ending, but the bad ending doesn't have the normal school music, I don't think. I remember it. I remember hearing it
Isn't
the
that
second
sad?
time.
Yeah, like the fact that literally everything is the same, except Aigis and the main character, because it's implied that everybody else didn't know, like that they also forgot too, except for Aigis and the main character, and holy crap, is that unfortunate?
Yeah.
Like,
I actually thought the main character forgot too, but then later on, Aigis mentions that you know what's going on, and I was like, oh, I thought everybody had forgotten.
That's why, because there's a choice you can do in both things where Junpei's like, I feel like I'm forgetting something, and you're just like, you have like both of your answers are like knowing answers, where it's just like, yeah, like I wonder what's going to happen after the karaoke party today, and stuff like that.
Sam,
So,
I do have one question. You
go ahead.
say exactly the same. Does that include like the weird little epilogues you get to various social links? Did those happen?
No.
Okay.
So the
that'd be weird.
bad ending is just a cutscene. So you just go through and it's when Aigis runs off this one, it's different in the bad ending. The bad ending, everybody's just like, oh hey, that was weird. Let's go listen to Mitsuru's speech. And so you go into her speech, and then her speech ends. Everyone goes to karaoke, and that's the ending. This one, it puts in the epilogues in between Aigis leaving and the karaoke party.
I didn't get a karaoke party.
Oh, that's in the bad ending.
Oh,
It's
okay,
not.
great.
It's not in the main ending. Yeah.
I was like, what are we talking about?
Like that's what the bad ending is you go to karaoke instead of living forever. So
I could go either way.
So after Aigis leaves, Junpei asks Yukari if they remember how they became friends, and she says she doesn't. And they're like, huh. That's weird, because this is them like noticing like the brick walls in the Matrix and stuff. Like they're starting
it's like glitch in the system.
So it goes after school and lets you talk to all of your social links. And the saddest thing that has happened in this game, like fuck Chidori, fuck Shinji, fuck like the world ending, but because everyone lost their memory, Koromaru isn't your dog. He's still at the shrine mourning his master, and it's the saddest fucking thing. Like I like stopped when I saw it. I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
John.
It was really it was really weird seeing how everybody just seemingly forgot. But I mean, I don't know. This ending was just really odd to me because like they forgot, and then Mitsuru does her speech,
Mm-hmm.
and then they don't.
They suddenly remember.
Yeah.
Like-
so if you remember back before the Nyx of everything, they're like, we need to make a promise that we'll never forget. No matter what. So even if we lose our memories, the promise will be important, and we'll be able to still keep that promise. And so they all promise to go to the roof after graduation. So her speech is at graduation. So she, in ours, it's an anime cutscene, and she says something that sparks her memory, and she's like, "Wait, Makoto, this is a thing." And then she like Mary Tyler Moore's off of the stage to run and go and go up to everybody.
Yeah, I think that she was like, the death of my father, and she was like, the death of my father. She's like, the death of my father, and then like everyone's like, yeah, I remember, and it was really really odd after that.
Yeah, it's a little better in the anime
it's
scene.
It's like when John holds a certain idea and concept very strongly in his head, and then Terezi, the seer of mind, has something to latch on to. That when she's doing her time travel, she's like, oh, that's the thing. We all made that promise, so I can use that to hold on to our memories even after everything changes. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's it.
I hate you.
So you
know I had to do it to him.
pretty funny.
There's one per episode now that you're here, so it's okay.
So after that, we end up going to the rooftop because we were already on the rooftop with Igus.
Before we go to the rooftop, I wanted, because this is when you talk to all of your social links, so I wanted to inject the ones that we started but we didn't finish that we talked about on the podcast. So like I know that you probably didn't finish tennis or librarian like I asked you to. Did you max either of them? Okay.
No.
So I'll Google those later. But
real quick, Sam.
Yeah.
In the last episode, you had said remind me to talk about the Gourmet King when the like social link spirit bomb comes up.
Yeah. So since I maxed the social link, his story, as you remember, he was like involved in a cult, and when he pops up for the spirit bomb, he talks about how like the moment like this other cult was around, like because of everything you taught me, I knew that they were bad news, and I knew that this was bad, and you taught me like what reality was, and so now like I'm trusting in you to save our reality and stuff. And it was it was like a better bookend for him than his actual epilogue thing, which I thought was really cool.
That is pretty awesome.
So the other epilogue that I wanted to mention, because it's a social link we talked about a lot, was Toriume Sensei, aka Maya.
Oh my god, it was great. It was
one of the best
great.
scenes, one of the highlights of the entire game.
So you walk into the faculty office, right? And you go in there, and she's talking about something. I don't even remember what she's talking about, but
just being a bad teacher.
Just being a bad teacher,
like
being an alcoholic.
Does.
Yeah.
Oh no, she's talking about how she's decided to be a good teacher now, and she's not sure why.
Oh yeah, that's what it is. And so she like is talking to her other teacher, and she's like, and I know it's weird, but it's like I had this online friend, and he really helped me through this stuff. So you walk in and drop your cell phone, and she's like, oh, let me pick this up for you. And your background, first off, for me it was weird because like I was currently in a relationship with Fuka, but my background was the "I love you" that she writes in the sand, and she just like holds her mouth, just like, oh my fucking god.
Yeah.
Well, at first she thinks that you like someone like leaked it is her first thought.
And you're just like, no, my online friend gave it to me. And she's like, no, you say my online girlfriend.
My girlfriend, yeah.
and she starts flipping.
And she's just like railing on it, like, oh my god. And then you before you leave, it gives you she's like crying on the floor or whatever. Like, how could I ever do this? And it lets you say, see you later, Maya-san. And it's just like, oh. It's so good. I love it so much.
It was hello, Maya-san, and I remember that because I immediately thought, hello, Clarice. Even though he doesn't actually say it like that in Silence of the Lambs, but whatever. That's immediately what I thought, like, hello, Maya-san.
And the best part is she's like, oh my god, we cannot do this. I'm never talking to you again, ever. I'm such an idiot. But then before she leaves, she's like, actually... You want to get coffee sometime? No, never mind. That's stupid. No. And then she runs off.
I was like, what is happening?
She's so conflicted.
It's so good.
It's great.
So, Eli, I'll let you go first to tell us about Yukari and her social link. That was one that I know you were really active in that we didn't get to hear about on the podcast.
Yeah,
I'd love to hear about Yukari.
So her social link had to do a lot with her mom and meeting up with her mom again because she had been kind of estranged from her after her dad died. Her mom kind of went on a dude bender and just started going out with like every guy she could. And at one point had called Yukari and was like, I want to get married. And Yukari was like, excuse me, do you think dad would be okay with that? Blah, blah, blah. And so they had a big fight over it. And then Yukari's mom called up during a different date and said, I'm not going to get married until we actually meet up and we talk about it. Like she was crying and stuff. And she wanted to actually meet with her and make sure that she was okay with it. And so like... toward the end of the at the end of the social link, I should say, Yukari explained, you know, she was really grateful for how much the protagonist Makoto in the movies had helped her.
Oh, that's what you tried.
That's why we're calling him Makoto.
That's why I named my character Makoto.
He's
okay. And she gives you a strap from her cell phone chain, and I think it had been a gift from her dad. So it was incredibly important to her. And then of course you spend time in her room, which implies that, you know,
doing it.
You boning.
Yeah, exactly.
In my notes for every single female social link I did, when I get to the end, I just put the single sentence, we bone.
I'm trying to remember exactly what happens on the rooftop after, like, during the epilogue, but I think it's just the general, like, you know, oh, you helped me so much. I was really grateful for you to be there. Oh, that was it. She was like, do you think that we'll still be together after high school? And I was like, yeah, totally. And she's like, yeah, I think so too. And I'm like, I have a feeling I know that this is going to end in tragedy, but, you know, I'm not going to say anything, whatever.
So that the ending of that social link, if that's the canon one, which the answer implies that it is, like, that makes her make a lot more sense in the answer. But because I was with Fuka, she didn't make any sense in the answer. And I'll get there. If we have time, I'll get there.
Yeah, from what I understand, Aegis is canonical, but the other girls aren't.
Ish. If I get to the answer, I'll talk about it.
Okay.
So I, like I mentioned, got with Fuka for my my party thing. Yuko is still my OTP, and you can still like talk to her at the end, and she's not mad that I'm with Fuka. So me and Yuko and Fuka have like a poly thing going on, which is pretty cool. But so Fuka's main thing is she thinks that she doesn't do enough like in battle or outside of battle for people, so she wants to take care of people, and so she wants to do that by cooking for everyone. The only problem is she's really fucking bad at it. Like the first like 4 link ups, she's like, here, try this food, and you spit it out in front of her because it's just nasty.
I'm like, it's so mean. Like
she tastes her own food.
Jesus.
She tastes her own food at one point, and she's like, oh, this is god awful.
So she says at one point that she wishes that she was good at something, and I said that surely there is something, and she's like, well, besides tinkering with this devices, but I don't want to tell anybody about it because that's not feminine, and I'm like, who cares? So then towards the end, she finally made food for everybody as quote unquote thanks, and Yukari was like, "What the fuck are you thanking us for? Like, we're friends. Like, of course we're going to help you." And so then when you go back to her bone zone, it smells like food in her room, and she says that she's had a hard time believing in the future because she never finishes anything that she starts. But after being with Makoto, she has the strength to finish. So she gives you new headphones, which is the only friendship gift in the entire game that's thoughtful. Like,
Yeah.
It really, usually it's
everybody
like,
else
here's a
is
thing I
fucking
found.
random.
That's like, it's great because I feel like a lot of the social links are just like really awkward. They're like, we're such good friends, like, and then they pause, look down at their bag, and they're like, give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute, and then they just like dig in, and they're like, here's this cell phone strap. We're great.
I honestly feel like, because they always give you a story about why this object actually has emotional resonance to them, but I feel like they just make it up on the spot. Like, I guess it's like, here's a charged screw, and then she's like, quick, I guess make up a reason why it's actually important. And she just like bullshits you, and then you're like, wow, that's so thoughtful. This isn't part of the old you. And she's like, oh yeah, that's what I
That's
meant.
what I meant.
Totally it.
So, in the epilogue, she starts a tech club because she's like, "Fuck cooking! I actually want to tinker with devices." And but Ikoda is again the worst teacher in the history of fiction,
God,
and
fuck Ikoda.
says, "Well, why don't you just talk to me in April, or if you have more members? Because right now it's just you, and that's not important." And so I'm like, "Well, I'll join." And she's like, "Awesome." And
I remember that was so sweet. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna go get more people to join. Bye.
Yeah. It was really
great.
Cool.
All the teachers in this game are just terrible, but Ikoda is absolutely the fucking worst.
He
He's
really
the only
is.
one I would actually like skip like mash X when he was talking, because I'm like, not only are you a terrible teacher, you're also just boring and go on forever.
Yeah. So another social link that I wanted to talk about is not actually one that I played, but it's all of our favorite characters. So I wanted to talk about it because none of us were smart enough to talk to Mitsuru. But for hers,
I started it, but I couldn't get through it.
Stephen Mongas was smart enough to talk to Mitsuru, but Michael Webben, was not smart enough to talk to Mitsuru instead of doing other dumb shit in the game.
So the first couple of times you talk to her, you go to fast food places that she's always wanted to try, but she was nervous to because she doesn't know the etiquette for non-fancy food.
She's like never been to a freaking restaurant before. That's
amazing.
It's hilarious, yeah.
And so every
so
time
bougie.
you go, she talks to the chef about the business side of things. Like, you'd make more a recipe if you closed your shop and just sold your recipe. Your recipe is really good. You could just be making royalties forever. Why are you opening a shop and cooking food? Or you go to Wild Duck Burger and she's like, how can you make money when your burgers are so cheap? So
she's so neoliberal.
She really fucking is. So one of the next times you're hanging out, she's like, I can't even go to college because I have so much company shit to do. And she says that her parents were married as a business arrangement, but they came to love each other in time, and she thinks that's beautiful because love comes in all forms. And I'm like, that's not cool at all. But and so she has her so at one point you're talking about her motorcycle, and she mentions that she just has it to rebel against how restrictive her life is. And the Kirijo group is just like her parents, marrying her off to secure a business deal to survive after her dad passed. And she asks Makoto if it would be wrong to like someone else while she has a fiance. But at that moment, her fiance comes up yelling for her, and he's like, cancel your plans. It's I'm more important than whatever you were doing. You should come hang out with me. She refuses, and he's like, quote, your family is so difficult. Good thing your dad is dead. I imagine you feel the same.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
This game was written in 2006. What?
He just went into wow.
Yeah, so
That is fucked up. That is super
Full
fucked up.
boy.
as you can guess, Mitsuru is like, enough is enough. Makoto is a better man than you. He fucks me better than you do. Like, all those things. She's just like
Easy taught me.
she's like, I live on my own terms. I'm going to be with Makoto and not you. The Kirito can stand on its own, and I will use every power at my disposal to destroy you. And he cries for his grandfather and runs away.
I will destroy you.
And so then when you get to her bone zone, she gives you the keys to her motorcycle because she says she doesn't need to run anymore. But since I don't have a license, I'll have to ride on the back while she drives. And then
I'm okay with that. Yeah. That's the better to feel my erection, my dear. Sorry.
So I have 2 more social links I want to get through, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. Mostly just because so real quick, I'll do Bebe. I was going to skip Bebe, but basically Bebe wants to stay in Japan. His uncle says no. Bebe makes a kimono to show his uncle that Japan is awesome. Then he leaves. In the epilogue, his uncle was like, hey, I love the kimono, but you're still staying in France. And that was it.
Yeah.
I'm glad that my initial assessment that Bebe was fucking boring proved correct.
Like, I was waiting for like a twist. In the last like 5, you're literally just you hang out with Bebe in home economics room, and then he's like, "Man, I'm coming close on this kimono, right?" Yep. That's it.
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
bet this kimono freaking sucked too.
Yeah. It did, because one of the plot points was that he didn't have enough money for good fabric, so he got the cheapest fabric he could find and made it out of that. So it's like a cheaply made kimono with the Wild Duck Burger mascot on it, because he said it reminded him of me.
Okay,
Yeah.
I kind of looped around to being cute, actually.
So the only thing that's cute about him in the epilogue is in his thing he says that he's decided to stay in France and actually go to fashion school, and he has put out his first line of clothes, and he calls it the main character's name line, which is cool.
That was pretty neat. I also found it weird that his letter was written in like a French accent.
Did you see what the narrator said about that? Because I thought that was cool. It's the narrator or Bebe, I think, says, he's like, I'm sorry that I don't know any kanji, so this whole thing is in hiragana.
Right,
So
it's in hiragana.
That's how his accent came across in the thing.
Yeah,
I
guess that
broken
makes
and
sense.
hard to read. Yeah,
I guess that makes sense, but at the same time, it was just like, why did you have to type it out in the accent? Why couldn't you just like say that and then not type the terrible stereotypical French accent?
but they wanted it to sound like Bebe.
Never play Chrono Cross.
Except we're playing Chrono Cross for this podcast at some point, because it's really actually good.
Good,
But
rules. But those
every single
accents,
person
woof.
has a terrible accent.
God, they're so bad.
So the 2 I wanted to get through are Maiko and Akinari, because they lead into each other. So
Is Akinari
Maiko,
the almost dead guy?
yeah.
Okay, good. I'm glad we're talking about that one. 'cause
Mr.
it's
Striped
incredible.
Shirt
Yeah,
is
so
what Maiko calls him.
his is absolute best, and
It's so good.
it's so good. But to get there, we have to go through Maiko, and Maiko's is also
Yeah, totally.
really good. So Maiko's parents are getting divorced, and she asks why they got a divorce, and her parents said that she was too young to understand. So as any 5-year-old kid would do, she was like, but Dad, why? So he hits her, and you come up to her, and she's sobbing and bruised because her dad hits her, and her mom, instead of being like, oh my God, we're already getting divorced, I'm taking my daughter and running, she goes, well, Maiko, you shouldn't have been that annoying, and you wouldn't have got punched.
Yeah.
And so
Which is
Maiko's-
fucked up.
It's
Super
so
fucked
up.
It's sad that it's like not unrealistic. Like
It's
I
not
know that
unrealistic
there
at
are
all.
people who would be like that, and that's
I
what
was
makes it so
gonna-
depressing.
I was gonna say, I read on Maiko's social link, and I was like, wow, that's real. That's real,
Yeah.
because I that I've seen that happen
Mhm.
in real life. So yeah, that's I read it. I liked it because games don't talk about that theme very much,
Mm-mm.
and it's important to even mention it.
Mhm.
And I also think there's a lot of like strength in assigning a whole social link to that to this
Mhm.
topic, for it to for the truth of like Maiko's story to add up to that. It's very sad. It's like very unfortunate too.
Yeah.
But I do think that as a statement, it was really good that they decided to talk about it.
Yeah,
totally.
This is definitely one of the ones that makes me like Persona 3, like,
It's
on a very
real
broad sense,
fucking topic.
because like they handle these real topics so well most of the times, except for trans issues. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
not
Which
picking at
we
that
still,
wound
like,
again.
We are still like talking about here. Like, thank you so much for like not being such a dick about it in the P3 portable version, but it was
or in the movies. In the movies, it was pretty
Oh,
good
really?
too.
That's
Oh
good.
yeah.
great. Okay, because like I'm just saying, like, I'm glad that they picked it up. So good on them. But
Yeah. Well, I
still.
noticed when we were watching the Netflix, the second movie that was on Netflix, it said that it was made in 2014.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was quite a few years after Persona came out. So, trans issues have been much more in the spotlight since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And, the woman that was trans was just like, boy, she was real into you.
Yeah.
But they didn't go into any sort of like, oh, she's a dude kind of stuff. So I was glad about that.
Matt
That's
says
good.
that was actually the sexy teacher from Persona 4. It wasn't even the spicy lady.
Oh wow.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so they just replaced her
sidestepped it
with
completely.
with a cameo, which is cool.
Kind of, considering that it's like still like erasure of a trans character. I still would have preferred the character
True.
to be there, just like her existing. Like,
Me personally, like, if they're not gonna, like, as a trans person, I'm saying this, if they're not gonna represent her well, I don't want her in there.
that's
Yeah.
fair.
Because it just makes us look bad.
And with the whole idea of Operation Babe Hunt, if she didn't have that storyline, she would have just been like a character in the background, and therefore wouldn't have like been a trans character. Like she would have just been.
You would never have known.
Yeah.
Do you
So-
think that if they would have added the same character but not given her any lines, but still in the like, do you think if it was going to be identifiable to the players, like just having her in the background somewhere? Do you think that would have been okay?
I thought that the lady from Persona 4 was her. So
I thought it was it was at least at the same part where it was supposed to be
Yeah.
the beautiful lady.
Oh, okay.
So, back at Maiko. So, obviously, after the thing that happened when she got hit by her dad, she says she's going to run away, and I'm like, do it. And,
Yeah, me too.
and so Matt in the Discord said, I tried to find a picture by Googling sexy Persona 4 teacher, and that was a mistake.
The best mistake, I think you mean.
So after she runs away, her parents show up to talk to me, ask if I've seen her, and they instantly start shouting at each other, and I'm like, calm the fuck down, we'll go find her, and we go to Octopia, where of course she is, and she's like, oh hey, you actually came for me, you actually gave a shit about me, so that they go home. And later, Maiko has to pick which parent to stay with, and in the end, she picks her mom. Since her mom would be working and cooking and cleaning, Maiko wants to help, as if her dad doesn't need all of these things. And in the epilogue, he talks about how hard it is because he doesn't have anyone to help him cook and clean or anything. And I was just like, okay, so at least it's Maiko being like naive at the time and not like some magic male ability to keep your house clean without people
They
around.
don't, because men don't have that. Sorry, that's just not.
It's not true at all.
I mean, they don't have the ability to just keep a house clean. Sorry.
No. So on the day before that she leaves to go with her mom, she's like, I don't want you to ever forget me, so let's play on everything at the playground. So they do the monkey bars, the swings, the slide, and everything. And she's like, good, now you have such a good memory of me, you won't ever forget me, which was really cute. And then she makes me like a friendship bracelet, but a ring version, like out of those chunky plastic beads. And that's her Max Persona item, which I thought was really cool.
Well,
Yeah.
and there is one important aspect to that final scene that comes back later, where she's like, "We're gonna get married later."
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I forgot about that. So she's
Okay.
yeah, so
Yeah.
she definitely says
She's literally like, "I love you. We're gonna get married," and
oh,
you can't
I
be
remember
like,
what it is. She says, "Can we be mommy and daddies together one day?" That's what she says.
That escalated really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, it was more of an endearing moment than a
Yeah.
creepy one
Yeah.
because
it is
she's a
endearing
little
'cause
kid.
it's her saying it. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's I was gonna say, like, coming from the tone of her story, it's like, aw.
But because
Yeah.
the main character is so passive, there's no dialogue option for you to be like, hey, just so you know, that's not going to happen, and I'm going
Right.
to explain why.
They'll
because
figure
we're
it
different
out.
ages. But
She'll
they don't
piece
let you-
it together.
Your only
She'll learn.
option is like both. It's one of those things where both dialogue options are the same, and they're both just being like ... It's like you laugh it off. You're like, ha ha ha, sure.
Maiko is now going to grow up with a type, and she's not going to know why. She's going to be like, I don't know why, I just like this type.
So in the epilogue,
Quiet.
you run into her dad, and her dad realizes, wait, she wrote in her letter that she was going to marry you one day, and then she chases you out, off the screen, which is great. So on one of the times you're hanging out with Maiko, she's like, hey, I don't come here on Sundays, but this my friend Akinari does. You should come and hang out with him then. And Akinari has a genetic disease with no known cure, and like every time you go to see him, he's like, oh wow, you actually came back. Like nobody gives a shit about me. No one comes to talk to me at all. And he asks if you like reading, because he doesn't like to finish upbeat stories because they all have happy endings, and he doesn't have a happy ending himself.
Oh,
So he's writing his own happy story so that he can find meaning in his life. And this is his story. His story is about a pink alligator that is so bright he can't hunt, so he's always hungry. And no one ever liked him until he made a friend that was a bird who was unable to fly. Then one day, the alligator accidentally ate the bird when the bird was sitting on his snout. So he was so sad that he stopped eating and just cried instead. So, he was so sad from eating his friends that he cried and cried until it made a big lake that all the other animals could drink from. They didn't know that he was dead or that he made the lake, but he still made their lives better. He says to not worry about the meaning of your own life and just worry about the way you help other people. Then on his last rank, he gives you his notebook that has the pink alligator story in it, and then he fucking disappears because he was a ghost and had already died.
Welcome
What?
to Persona 3.
Oh my god, he was Bruce Willis the whole time.
I feel like it wasn't the whole time. I feel
No,
like he
'cause-
basically just died off screen at some point, and you
Yeah.
just
Oh,
didn't realize. I think.
That's so fucking sad.
Yeah,
So-
and there's no explanation at all. It's great.
So he like I skipped over some of the like filler because everyone talks about like their feelings in these social links.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things he was talking about his feelings, he said that he stopped taking his medicine because he's like, the last time I went in for surgery, they said that there was nothing they could do. So like, why even prolong my life that hurts? So I'm just going to stop taking my medicine. I'm free of everything. And so I feel it was right after that is when he died.
That's probably the case. Yeah.
In the epilogue, when you talk to...
I'm sorry. What was just posted in the general channel? Wear Heelys to escape your feelies. I'm sorry, I'm dying.
Next time the game,
It's an
you guys
RPG
should
book
always be
club
wearing
where
heelys.
feelies to escape your feelies. I'm into that.
Yeah.
I am.
Remind me, hey, future Sam, you're about to edit this tomorrow. You should put that as the opening line. When you're like, welcome to RPG Book Club. Wear Heelys to escape your feelies.
Yeah.
So, in the epilogue, you go back to the shrine, and his mom is there, and his mom says that he had died peacefully, and she knew that he wanted Makoto to have the notebook, but she didn't know how he got it. She lost it, but she's glad that it ended up with me anyway. So yeah, he was Ghost Boy, brought me the notebook somehow.
Oh, that's so. Oh god, my
But-
heart.
In Persona 4 Golden, there are 2 characters that reference that kid's storybook about the pink alligator.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
That-
awesome.
Don't you like this meta reference shit?
it's
Yeah.
so.
I love stuff like that anyway.
Yeah.
There you go.
So a lot of these sort of epilogue scenes got me pretty emotionally affected, and this one with the mom, I wish I had written down / taken screenshots. I don't know why I didn't, because usually I'm pretty screenshot heavy when I play these games, but maybe I was too invested. But like her little monologue about how she's still glad that her son was able to be alive even for a short time and how much he enriched her life, but yet also it's still so hard and she's like never gonna not be sad, but also she's happy. Like it was
It hurt.
her monologue is amazing. Like y'all listen to this. If you didn't get that part of the game yourself, go look it up on YouTube because it ties in with the themes of the game so well. You know, it's like just the inevitability of death. Like, gosh, it's so good.
So
Yeah,
good.
obviously, death is a big thing in Persona 3, and it like everything is tying into it in some way or another. But it's also showing that like new things are coming of these things that are dying. Whether they're dying like figuratively or literally, new feelings, new relationships, you know, just new things are springing up, and it's a cycle. It's not just death is the end. Death is also a beginning.
Yeah, it's not something that you can escape. It's not a topic. And that's the whole point of Ryoji, and how I guess was just like you can't fight it, you know, like and that's a theme that exists here for sure.
Yeah. So the other three that we didn't mention whatsoever were the two student council kids and Mamoru. Real quick, one sentence for both of them. Hideyoshi is a dick, and and he gives you a lighter, which doesn't make any sense. And Chihiro hates boys until she doesn't, but she only learns that she doesn't because she thinks Mitsuru is trying to smash. So so hers has a little cute thing where like the whole time in the background she's talking about this art book for this manga that's her favorite that she likes so much. So then the item that she gives you is volume 1 of that manga, which is kind of like a touching thing, whereas
volume
everyone
1
else,
of Parfait Girls,
everyone else was just like, well, what do I have in my pockets? But she gives you something important. Mamoru is poor. And that's it. That's the story.
Okay, hold on. I'm not going to belabor anything, but I think people should go in if they didn't play it and watch Mamoru because I thought it was great. It was really. It's the only instance of the game engaging with class as a concept.
Oh yeah.
Well, Mitsuru. There's actually a lot to say about Mitsuru in class as well that I won't get into.
I was going to say
it's
like
very interesting.
she's like the walking epitome of privilege.
Yeah, but like his story, like there's not a whole lot of conflict or anything. It's just like I love how it's like. He's poor and that causes problems and you can't fix it, and that's realistic. He has to sacrifice. He doesn't go to college because he has to support his family, and like there's no magical anime solution to class inequality. It's also I just like him as a person. He's a sweetheart.
Like his isn't bad. Like it's not like Hideyoshi, where Hideyoshi just like has a 180 in rank 9 because they ran out of time for character growth. But like Mamoru's like there's not a lot of like story that happens as you take it through it, because it's just like I can't play in the thing, but I want to play in the thing. I'm going to play in the thing. Okay, I played in the thing, but now I'm never going to play in the thing again. And it's good, but it's definitely a extended reading more than stuff to waste while we have podcasts to go.
Yeah, totally.
So we will now kick it over to some Q&A. We have some people listening, so y'all can feel free to ask them in general or in the hashtag Q&A channel. The first question we have comes from our good friend Matt J, and he says, "What is your favorite color and why?" Eli.
So my favorite color has changed a lot over the years. When I was a little kid, and bear in mind that I was born female, I loved pink. I don't remember this very much, but apparently I loved pink. I also apparently loved red for a while, and green has been my favorite color. I would say the green is probably my second favorite color at this point. My absolute favorite color is purple. Part of it is just I'm very like I like cool colors. I don't know. I just really love purple kind of things. I love purple and gold together. They're complementary colors. Not purple and yellow because yellow is gross. But I love purple and gold is really pretty together. And purple is also the colors that can be made with both the bisexual flag and the transgender flag.
That's awesome.
Well, there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah, so purple it is for me.
All right, Rizzo, what is your favorite color and why?
I think my favorite color is glitter.
Yes!
I'm
So
kidding.
surprising.
That's a good gay answer.
I honestly I like a good ocean blue, and I like a good a deep forest green. Those are my favorite colors. I know that's really particular, but I grew up around a lot of beaches, and so the smell of seaweed and the ocean is really nice to me.
I think the beach is one of my absolute favorite places to be. I just fucking love it. And I want, at some point, I would love to live on a beach.
I mean, it's really expensive, but
Yeah.
that's really expensive. But I would say, just living anywhere near a beach is actually pretty dope because you just constantly, I mean, I said this I was just talking to my boyfriend about this the other day, but I was like, man, I really do like Austin, but I mean, I like Austin's weather, but I wish that what I got here was also a sense of ocean smell. So
Right.
Yeah, hard agree.
So for me, I definitely do like a nice kind of sea color and a forest green.
All right, and Spiff?
Okay, I feel like I'm gonna have to kind of rip off a Rizzo there. Same basically, because I also grew up not on the ocean, but close enough. But I don't know. I've gone through a lot of favorite colors throughout the years. Purple and pink are excellent. But my favorite thing is thinking about how I accessorize myself. Is not one color, but just primary colors in general. Just simple, bright primary colors. Think the beginning of the level in Sonic 2.
Oh, yeah.
It was just the red, the blue, and the yellow, just right there in your face. Those very simple colors. That's what I like. So just simple, bright primary colors I think are excellent. And then second place is sky blue, I would say.
My favorite color is red, and I think that the more I think about it, I think it just comes to I look really good in red.
You do. You look great in red.
I remember that my favorite color was green for all of middle school and high school, and I'm ugly in green. So I think it was one day I was putting on a sweater, looking in the mirror, I was like, this doesn't look good. And then I put on a red sweater, and I'm like, now that's cooking, and it's been red ever since.
That's how I felt the first time I ever wore just a deep, a deep bright blue hoodie. I was like, whoa, this is incredible.
Yeah. So the next question comes from our boy Tristan. He says, "Who was the bestest boy in the whole dorm?"
Junpei.
Oh, the bestest. It would definitely be Koromaru.
Yeah,
It's
Koromaru.
Yeah, I feel like that's a trick
Koromaru.
question.
Yeah.
Good boy.
Here's I'm gonna give you a ranking. It's Koromaru, the Akihiko.
Yes.
Yeah. Ken, because he's young and he's really nice and he doesn't have any fucking parents. Come on. Junpei, Ikutsuki, and then Igor.
Wait, you'd put Ikutsuki above Igor?
I would put.
No
he
way.
was pretty witty. Igor's just always putting you in hijinks.
It's
yeah,
true.
I guess that's true.
You know who was initially invasive? Igor.
Yeah. No, you know what? Who is best boy? Ryoji.
I would put Ryoji over Akihiko. Ryoji rules.
I fucking
especially
love him.
after watching the movies.
Oh my god, I know.
Ryoji is sold so much more of a real person in the movies,
Yes.
and it's so good.
So I think
ship
the
him
middle
so
ranks
hard.
we can disagree on, but I feel like it's pretty easy to say that the top is Koromaru and the bottom
The
is
best.
Ikutsuki, if we're not going to count Igor.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the shittiest. I'm joking
easy.
about the Ikutsuki part. Igor's pretty cool. He's been around for a really long time.
Yeah.
So
Hey.
you know what I mean? When every single time, I feel like every Shin Megami Tensei and Persona game is just one simultaneous main character, and he gets out of this demon hijink bullshit just for him to like wake up another day and be like, oh, here I am again in the Velvet Room. Fuck, just like as somebody completely different, because it's when you see Igor anywhere, you're like, you already know what to expect. It's pretty cool.
Did you almost say Igor?
Yeah, I know, I did. What's happening to me?
So, go ahead.
I think it's wrong. I think it would be absolutely wrong if we did not say that Koromaru was best boy, because he, like, as an animal, he is inherently innocent. He can't
also
have
saved
a bad
the
thought in his
universe
body.
back in December.
He fucking saved us all by attacking Ikutsuki. Like, he is clearly best boy.
Do you think that Koromaru would tell Aiga shit like, what the fuck? Like, I did that. You know, like, do you think that she had to like
dog friends?
Do you think that she had to like hold back saying that like, hey, he wants credit, like in the middle of a fight? Do you think she's like sitting with her like gun arms and she's just like, should I let them know that he's pissed off right now?
No,
like
he would absolutely not take credit for anything. Like he would totally let other people take credit for things that he did. Yeah. He's absolutely a team player, and he's very selfless. He doesn't really, he thinks about everybody else.
I'm glad we agree.
You know what's the absolute best thing about Koromaru? In addition to all those other qualities y'all just talked about, saving the world, doing his best, like that would be enough, right? Like that should be enough. But he goes above and beyond, because in addition to all that hard work he pulls every day, he also finds the time and is on it enough to fulfill the role of a dog in any sitcom, which is to do hilarious reaction shots and reaction barks anytime something happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought you were going to say like,
bark, bark.
He also finds you items.
Well, that's
you were
true,
going to be like,
too.
hey, thanks for the laughs, but also like he actually does shit.
Yeah, like something dramatic happens and you do like a double take, like what? Plot twist, Car is gonna go bark bark, and then before the final battle, everyone gives their like Final Fantasy VI ass like, here's why I'm gonna save the world speech, and then Koromaru even pipes up and he goes bark bark bark, and you're like, yeah, Koromaru,
exactly.
You are pulling so many roles right now, and you're perfect.
When he calls out an all-out attack and it's just "Orf!"
Yes,
that's so good. So, before we move on to the next question, there is a second. I think there's a tie for last place with Ikutsuki, and it is Makoto in the first movie before he learns the power of friendship.
Oh,
really?
Because everyone's like, we gotta go save Fuka, and Makoto's like, I guess. And they're like, look, we want you to be here because you want to be here. Like, we don't want you to feel obligated to do anything. And he's like, understood, and gets up and goes back to his fucking room.
Yeah. Well,
he doesn't go save Fuka.
That rules.
Yeah, he's such a dick. Like when Yukari's like, I'm sorry, I was supposed to be there to save you.
Yeah, the main character does that.
I've heard of Reluctant Hero, but this is ridiculous.
It's hilarious. Yeah, Yukari at the beginning is like, I'm sorry, I couldn't save you. I wasn't strong enough. And he goes, well, I wasn't counting on you anyway.
Yeah.
Shade.
He's such a disaffected youth. Yeah. He gets
Give
better.
him some slack. He's got a weird death demon literally inside of his soul.
Yeah, he's got problems, so kind of give him some space.
He's troubled.
So, our last question for the night is, have you ever licked a Nintendo Switch cartridge?
No, girl. No.
I've heard tales of licking Nintendo Switch cartridges.
We've never done that. This household doesn't lick Nintendo Switches, okay?
We're not that close. We're just friends. We're just friends with the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I'm just cool with the Nintendo Switch. Like, I don't like her like that. Like, we're just cool, you know?
I've got a different answer to that question.
Oh no!
When I first heard about the licking thing, I was like, A, that's hilarious. B, how strange. I got a Nintendo Switch on launch day. And one of the first things I did, I was like, I gotta. So I licked the cartridge, and I think I bought like 2 or 3 games on launch day because I was a little Nintendo fanboy going a little crazy there. And also,
there were only 3 games, so I know which 3 games you got.
Also, when's the last time a new Bomberman game came out? Like, come on.
Right?
I love Bomberman. Anyway, so, and the first thing I did was I licked it, and at first I was like, it's really not that bad. And then it takes about 10 seconds for the aftertaste to really kick in. And then I was like, Whoa. Anyway, I also made Bernard lick it. I gave him a different one.
I didn't think they would be having a conversation about this.
Yeah, I
Anyway,
know.
long
I didn't
story
think
short,
that this
I
was
lick
gonna.
every cartridge that I buy. It's it's like how I break them in. It's like new game, bonding experience. Like
I do have to say that
Sorry.
Nintendo has their finger on the pulse of video games are for kids and then adults, like more than anybody else does, because like Sony would never even think of like, because like they gave you like a crappy headset that you could easily swallow, and it didn't taste like crap, but Nintendo was like,
It
kids
tasted
will
like delicious candy.
you'll be handing a Captain Toad treasure tracker to your little kid, and he'll open it up and swallow it, and then it'll be bad. So,
and that's the
they
difference between kids and adults. Is kids, if you cover something with poison and make it taste like shit, it'll make a kid not want to lick it. But,
it makes it
an adult, I would never even think. I would never lick a game cartridge. Why would I do that? But now I lick the game cartridge every
Now
time
that you
I buy
fucking
one.
told me about it, I have to.
Once you're a mature adult, you realize that doing stupid shit constantly that makes you unhappy is hilarious.
It's part of being an adult, and it's great.
I'm shook. I didn't know that this was gonna. Thank you for that story, because I didn't know that happened.
I thought we were all just gonna be like, no, fuck no, we didn't do it.
Boom, and then just roll credits, bam. But I didn't know
how big of an idiot I am.
Wow, no, not an idiot. That's okay. No one's shaming you.
No, absolutely not.
This is a safe zone. This is a safe space.
It was an important scientific experiment, and we thank you for your contribution to the scientific community.
And
like
I will
Portal.
Continue.
Like something from Portal. Yeah,
exactly.
Just like that. Like Aperture Science.
Science is all about coulda, not shoulda, as Patton Oswalt said. So,
okay, so we only have like 7 minutes left, so I'm going to do a real short sum up of the answer, and then rant for a little bit on the pacing of this game, and how, because like I was just going to skip my pacing thing, but I realized I've talked about it for the last like 6 episodes, so I should do at least a truncated version of it. But the answer, you can read the script online, because the answer is really hard. And if you had any problem with Nyx, I don't think you should play the answer, because it'll just kill you the whole time. But so the answer takes place on March 31st. Hey, look, we're on brand. We're only talking about March today. But so it takes place on March 31st, and the Kirijo group is shutting down the dorm, so everybody has to move out. And then at midnight, there's this weird pulse instead of midnight happening, and all the clocks still say the 31st, even though it's gone over to midnight. Everyone's like, well, that's weird, but it's probably just our clock's messing up. Let's just go to bed. And
is any of us Bill Murray? Did any of us turn into Bill Murray while we weren't looking?
I guess turns into Bill Murray.
Yeah, exactly.
So while everyone's trying to sleep, this other robot shows up, and her name is Metis.
And she has Usagi's voice in the new Sailor Moon dub, by the way. Just got to call that out real quick. Yeah.
And she's another robot like Aegis, and she calls Aegis her sister, but she's like hyper emotive, and she's like a kid. Everyone treats her like a kid. So she tries to kill everyone, but Aegis gets called into the Velvet Room and gets her own contract, and her persona changes to Orpheus. So Meta says that the time jumps are because of the Abyss of Time, which is like the opposite of Tartarus. Tartarus grew up, the Abyss of Time grows down, and it's underneath the dorm. So when they are going through, they go through it just like Tartarus, but they get to the end of each section, and there's a door that's a doorway into the past. The first one is a door that leads to Paulonia. The rest of them are memories, and it's all memories of when people awoke their persona. And there's some really cool character moments that I wish I had more time to go over, like Mitsuru and her family did the cover up for Ken's mom, and so now Ken had to see that, which I thought was like
shit.
Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of really good character stuff up till a certain point of the answer. So I recommend playing half of the answer and not going to the end. The end is fucking stupid. But the final door that you go through leads into Aigus's dream, because she's been having this dream ever since Makoto died, and in the dream she says, well, if I can't protect you, I should just become a machine again. So then Metis is like, well, the thing that's keeping the Abyss of Time open and y'all are stuck here is because you want to see Makoto again, so I'm just going to kill everybody so we can fix time. But then
Hey,
a shadow version of Makoto comes out, and you fight it. And in the fight, he uses everyone's personas against them. And the group's like, how can shadows use personas? And Meta says, because shadows are personas, which is like so true in Persona 5. And so I'm like it made me understand Persona 5 a little more, which I thought was cool. But so after you kill Makoto, everyone gets an item called the Key of Time, which if they all use them together, they can solve time and leave the dorm. Or
fix time.
Or instead of fixing time and just going on with your life, you could go back in time and save the main character. And Yukari like puts her foot down and is like, we're going back to save him or I'm going to fight you. So they're like, okay, cool. And because it's a JRPG, instead of them talking about their feelings, they go to like an alternate dimension that's a giant clock-shaped arena and they fight.
Oh, which is what the opening cutscene is.
Which is what the opening cutscene is them all fighting. So Aigis and Metis are on a team. Akihiko and Ken are on a team. Mitsuru and Yukari are on a team. That leaves... No, it's Junpei, Akihiko. I don't know. There it is. There's already. So it's Ken and Aki, Junpei and Koromaru, Yukari and Mitsuru are the 3 boss fights you have. And after you win them all the keys become one true key. So you can use it on either door. And I guess gets to choose. And Yukari's like, I just want to see Makoto. I can't pretend that I don't anymore. And I'm like, we were barely friends. In fact, we were in reverse at the end of the game. So like, it's like, why do you care?
I don't know.
But I don't know her. So Aiga says she understands, and they're going to go back to see Makoto, but they don't want to go through his dorm room door because that's before the Nyx fight, and they don't want to fight Nyx again. But if they focus their thoughts, they can change the door that went to Paulonia, which is where you buy your items and shit in the answer. They can change that door into another usable door, and so they do so, and they go through the door, and they're in that black place where they fought Nyx, and then all semblance of plot goes out the fucking window, and it becomes so confusing. And I wrote in my notes that it's Final Fantasy VII, where it's confusing but like not good. But I'm not going to poke that fight that me and Spiffle had like last week.
Don't poke that bear.
I'm not going to poke that bear. But so. This is as best I could understand it. I read the script like 40 times. But so Nyx wasn't actually dangerous, was just a force of nature. But everyone's wishing for death is what brought her here. And those wishes for death form this being called Erebus. And Erebus comes after Aigis because she has the same power as the main character. And I guess, and then everyone fights it. And after the win, Fuka is like, will that even be enough? Because if everyone just asks for death, Erebus will be back. And Aigis is like, no, but people can change. I believe it. And then the whole time there's like this motif where they're like, oh, but Makoto already knew the answer, and they're just and they're talking about the answer to life. And Aigis realizes that the answer to life isn't death, but it's friendship. And so,
friendship, yeah.
So she goes to open the door and leave, but Meta says she can't come with them because she was all of the emotions that Aigis had started to unlock, but she pushed them away when she said that she might as well be a stupid machine. So. They form back together, and they and then they wake back up in the dorm on April 1st, and everyone thinks Aigis is dead, but then she wakes up and she's like, sorry, I was sleeping again. I haven't had to sleep in a while. And Fuka goes to like look at her robo parts on the computer, but they're not registering, which means that Aigis is finally a real girl, and then her and Yukari go to college and be roommates, and it's dumb. It's so fucking dumb.
So the real evil death was the friends you made along the way.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna fucking say that. Damn it. I will
It's
say,
not good.
I started playing the answer because I needed the answer to the end of the journey, which
we
was,
didn't fucking talk about that.
Yeah.
So fuck
kinda
my rant.
forgot.
Let's go into the game.
yeah, the journey, at the end of the journey, like, you're lying on Aigus's lap, and like, you've been getting told for the last couple of days, you're really tired, you should go to bed early, and so you go to bed early, and like everybody keeps commenting. Oh, excuse me. Everybody keeps commenting about how pale and sick and just god awful you look. But you're just like, whatever, because that's who you are. You're Makoto. You don't care. So the graduation day comes up, and you and Aigis are trying to get to the graduation, but you don't end up making it. You're sitting on the roof with Aigis, your head is in her lap, and then like a butterfly flies past, and you close your eyes, and Aigis just smiles, and it's really ambiguous about what happens. And I was like, he fucking died. I'm certain that he died. But I'm going to play the answer. I'm going to play the start of that and see what happened. And yeah, the answer is he died. Makoto died. You're dead. Because like, while they tried to leave it ambiguous, like, they couldn't do that for the answer. And so they go into this whole thing about, you know, how I guess still had his evoker and all this stuff because sentimental reasons, etc. But that was the only reason I started it. And the cutscene was so fucking long.
Yeah, it's like 30 minutes.
I just want to never touch this game again.
Yeah.
But I probably will play the journey again at some point because it was really good.
The explanation in the answer is that because he used all of his life force, he was on borrowed time to make it to the 31st, and that was like a gift from Ryoji type thing. It was just
I love that, because that is exactly how I was interpreting it. Even the phrase, because basically Ryoji straight up says, after you've beat Nyx, the main character has just, everyone dies, he just dies a little earlier, but then you go on living. So yeah, he basically just like, hey, you can live another month just to be nice.
He found the answer to life sooner than others will, is what was said,
And I think that's essentially saying, you're already dead, by the way. This is just borrowed time, I'm just being nice to you, letting you live to the end of the school year, basically.
Yeah, it should be clear because you've used up all your HP to do that Nyx sealing thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, they don't explicitly say it. So it was like, I want to see if the answer explicitly says it. It does. Yeah. Great. I'm done. I don't have to do this anymore.
Yeah. So we are out of time. As much as I would love to stop and talk for a long more time, we're out of time to talk about Persona 3. Real quick, one sentence answers from everybody. What was your favorite moment of Persona 3? One sentence. Don't start a ramble. You get one sentence.
Oh no, this is really hard.
Yeah,
okay.
This is a loaded question.
I think I have my answer if everyone else is still thinking. The literal ending, the scene where you fade to white and die, and it's like the most peaceful, positive, easy death possible, but it's also still heartrending because death always is. And then the incredible credit scene with the final music, the music over the credits.
Mm-hmm.
I have to agree. I love the fact that this dude passed away with the sound of his friends running to him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was tragic, but it was also really beautiful.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like as beautiful as death can be.
Yeah.
Which is only fair. Kind of.
I think my favorite was Junpei and Chidori. Junpei grows a lot from that. Chidori grows a lot. I think they made great progress, and now she is forever inside of him. And that's beautiful.
Nice.
It's true love. Love! True love!
Yep. Marriage, etc.
Yeah. I think my favorite would have to be well, now I'm second guessing myself.
Say it. Just do it.
I'll just stick to the original thought that I had. I think it's how like always positive Fuka is, because everybody reacts to the crap that their life is in a different way, and Fuka is always at every single point grins and bears it. Like we were really thinking when she was showing up that she was like retribution, going to be super angry at everybody that was bullying her, and she didn't. Like she stayed positive the whole time through, and I thought that
Puka's
was
a better person than us.
that's
Yeah.
it. All right, Rizzo, close us out.
Well, for the RPG book
No,
club,
what's your favorite part? You can't just skip.
I did. I have to agree.
Okay.
No, yeah, I agree. It's definitely when the character died in the arms of somebody that wanted to protect them, and with his friends running to him, it was really pretty.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. So, yeah, you can say the ending now. I'll let you say it.
Great. For the RPG book club and for the game Persona 3, I have been Michael Rodriguez.
I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And I'm Michael Spiffleweb.
Thanks
All
so
right.
much for joining us on this game.
Thank you. It
We
was
really
super
appreciate
fun.
it.
All of our fans, y'all are cool as heck and ask
And you're
great
so
questions.
beautiful.
You guys can put away your evokers.
Yeah.
Right.
And you guys don't have to make any more stops to the Velvet Room for this time, but we will see
I'm
you
going to
next
hold
time.
on to mine for sentimental reasons.
Great. We will the next time that we see you guys, it will be in a different universe, somewhere far, far away.
It'll be in space.
It'll be in space.
Space.
But no, thanks so much for joining us, and I don't know, we'll see you guys later.
Wanna
Bye.
go
Before the buys, before the toodaloos,
Wait, hold up.
just a real quick plug. At RPG Book Club on Twitter, rpgbookclub@gmail.com, patreon.com/rpgbookclub. Hit us up. We love all you guys. Thanks for
And check
listening
our
live.
Let's Play of Rogue Galaxy that's coming up. Woo!
Hell yeah. Okay.
True.
Now, toodaloo.
Bye.
Bye!